The Samsung Galaxy Note 7, the latest that Samsung has to offer. Could this be the new phablet to set new standards for other flagships? Or is the Note 7 just an overhyped piece of technology? Let's find out, shall we? First off, big shout out to Samsung for lending us a unit to review. Okay, the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Some of you might be confused with what happened to the Note 6. Technically, the Note 7 is the Note 6, but Samsung wanted to align the Note lineup with the S lineup, so that's how we have the Note 7. Plus, also, technically, this is the 7th generation of Notes, so makes sense. Up first, a physical tour of the phablet. There will be 3 colors available: black onyx, blue coral with a gold trim, and this one right here, silver titanium. The phone measures 153.5 millimeters by 73.9 by 7.9 millimeters and weighs 169 grams. On the front, it's got a curved 5.7-inch Super AMOLED display with a resolution of 1440 by 2560 made of Gorilla Glass 5. On the front, we also find the selfie camera and IR emitter, which is used for the iris scanner, more on that later. And closer to the bottom of the phone, we have the usual recent, home, and back buttons. I have to say though that the silver model, the recent and back buttons do blend in a lot more on the body of the phone, giving the Note 7 an overall cleaner look. At the tippity top of the phone, we have the combo nano SIM card and micro SD card tray. On the right hand side, we have the power button, and on the left hand side, we have the volume up and volume down button. At the very bottom of the phone, we have the headphone jack, the USB Type-C port, microphone, speaker, and S Pen. At the back of the phone, we find the curved glass back just like the front. The 12 megapixel camera is located right here. It's the same one that's found on the S7, and also the LED flash and heart rate sensor. That's basically all the exterior. Let's talk specs. The Note 7 that we have here today is the North American variant with the Snapdragon 820 quad-core CPU, 4GB of RAM, 64GB of internal storage, and the microSD card tray can hold up to 256GB card. Although Samsung did mention that the SD card can go up to 2TB, but those don't exist yet on the market, so they're saying that it's 256GB max that it can hold. The Note 7 is IP68 rated for dust and water resistance, and finally, the Note has a 35 mAh non-removable battery. Let's move on to user experience. First off, the Note 7 in the hand feels small. Don't get me wrong, it's still a 5.7-inch screen, but compared to the Note 5 and Note 4, the Note 7 feels skinnier. It might also be the addition of the curved front and back edges on the phone. The Note 7 is also lighter than previous Notes, and even though the front and back is covered in curved glass, it's not actually that slippery. Speaking of glass, the Gorilla Glass 5 used on the Note 7 is 1.2 times more scratch resistant than previous iterations. With the Note 7, Samsung decided to update their Touchwiz interface with Touchwiz UX. All the icons are different with their softer colors and rounded corners, and I think it gives a nice aesthetic to the phone itself. Speaking of updates, the always-on display is now a bit more customizable than previous iterations. Up next is the new iris scanner feature. This blew my mind. To just have to look at the screen and have the phone unlock was completely effortless. The home button still acts as a fingerprint scanner, but trust me when I say that the iris scanner is a lot easier to set up and a whole lot more fun. With the fingerprint sensor, during the setup process, you would have to lift your finger on and off the home button multiple times to get one finger fully registered. That's not the case with the iris scanner. All you need to do is hold the phone up to eye level, roughly 30 centimeters away, and within seconds, the iris scanner has already registered your eyeballs. And when I mean fun, I mean that Samsung has integrated various masks you can use to guide your eyes to the right spot on the phone to unlock the phone. The mask takes something so ordinary into something more interactive. Hopefully we'll see more masks available in the future. During our Samsung Note 7 briefing, I brought up the topic of glass eyes. The phone will not register glass eyes on its own, but if you do have a glass eye and one real eye, the iris scanner still works. Or at least Samsung, that's what they told me, since I have no way of confirming this. Both my eyes are real. Also, you can only register your eyes once, so you can't register another set of eyeballs unless you unregister the first set first. But if for some reason you can't use the iris scanner or even the fingerprint reader, you can still get away with using regular passcodes as a backup. The S Pen has been updated. First off, They've doubled the pressure levels from 2048 to 4096. Now, I'll be completely honest, I don't think I could even see or even be able to create 40 to 96 different levels of pressure, let alone 4096. But good on Samsung for upping the ante. They've also increased the scan speed of the S Pen from 240Hz to 360Hz. This means that the pen will have a smoother writing experience and will be more accurate. They've also updated some of the error commands to include Magnify and Translate. These two are pretty self-explanatory. With Magnify, you can go from 150% magnification up to 300 magnification in 50% increments. With the Translate feature, you just select a list from the languages you want to translate and hover over text to translate. With the S Pen Smart Select tool, you can now make GIFs, or GIFs, however you want to say it, from videos being played back. And the Create Note feature has a little something special for all you aspiring oil painters. The oil brush will now pick up other colors when you overlap previous paint strokes, giving it a more authentic look. I don't know, I thought that was really cool. You might not think so. Finally, the glance feature allows for a quick glance at different apps while you're in another app. All you have to do is hover over the glance window and the whole window will pop back up. In terms of benchmark, on Geekbench 3, the Note 7 received a score of 2328 on single-core performance and 5225 on multi-core performance. On Antutu, the Note 7 scored 142,143. Now compare that to the S7 Edge, which scored 1811 on single-core performance and 5,799 on multi-core performance on Geekbench. Meanwhile, on Antutu, the S7 Edge scored 129,689. Now keep in mind that both the S7 Edge and the Note 7 are running different processors, so it's not a completely direct comparison. But big shout out to my buddy Reese Pritchard for sending me the benchmarks on his S7 Edge. Like I mentioned before, the camera on the Note 7 is the same one as the S7, so not much has changed here. The camera is still very fast on focusing and does very well in low light situations. One new feature, however, is swipe to change to front or rear camera. So if you need to switch the camera from the front one to the rear one, but don't have the finger dexterity to hit the swap camera button, all you need to do is swipe up or swipe down on the camera itself to change which camera you're using. Let's move on to media consumption. We've talked about Super AMOLED displays before, and not much has changed this time around, so video-wise, it's pretty awesome. But the speaker at the bottom of the Note 7 is loud. On my Sony Z5 with dual front-facing speakers, the decibel levels from 3 feet away hit 68.1 decibels. With the Note 7 playing the same song, also at 3 feet away, reach 75.3 decibels, which is a whole lot louder. And just like the S7, the Note 7 is also water resistant with the IP68 rating. And one of the bonuses here is that the Note 7 will work with the pen taken out while submerged. Now let's talk about battery life. The previous Note 5 had a battery size of 3000 milliamp hours. With fast charging, the battery could go from 0 to 100 in roughly 90 minutes. Now with the Note 7, they upped the battery to 3500 milliamp hours total, and charging from 0 to 100 takes only 100 minutes. So, for the extra 500 milliamps, there's only a 10-minute difference between the two generations, which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. As for how long the battery on the Note 7 lasted, I went through a whole 8-hour workday with emails and media consumption, and then added roughly a 4-hour Pokemon Go session. The phone still had 42% battery life left when I went to bed around 2 a.m. Now, I did have the brightness on low and I turned off sound when playing Pokemon, so your mileage may vary, but the Note 7 is a beast when it comes to battery life. So if you haven't really clued in yet, I really liked using the Note 7, which is surprising to say coming from a guy who exclusively uses Sony phones. The screen is vibrant, the speakers are loud, well, speaker in this case, and the iris scanner makes unlocking your phone quick and fun. I mean, there are some things missing that would make this perfect phone in my opinion, like front-facing speakers, the recent and back buttons should swap positions, and there should be a removable battery. But you know what? The speaker on the Note 7 is astoundingly loud, and we all know that Samsung probably won't put front-facing speakers on it. And the back and recent buttons you can get used to, and who the heck needs a removable battery anyways when there are quick chargers and power banks around? The Note 7 as right now is the near perfect phone. I wanted to say perfect, but the Note 7 is expensive. In the US, the Note 7 will have MSRP around $850. Meanwhile, in Canada, the Note 7 is a whopping $1,050. But some people might think that the premium price tag may be worth paying for this premium device. Other phone makers should take note. Pun intended. If you don't try and match or beat the specs and features of the Note 7, you're going to let Samsung hog all the glory. But that's it for this review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. If you made it this far into the review, pat yourself on the back because I know this was kind of a long one. Click over here for previous videos, check us out on Twitter right over here, but as always, like the video if you liked it, comment down below for fans with benefits, and subscribe for more like this from NCIX. We'll see you later. Gonna go for some Pokemon session. Still got a lot of battery left.